Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Terry McGriff Show. Along with my illustrious co-host Andre L. Sullivan, we want to welcome you to the show today. Andre, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I'm glad you looking at me and me looking at you.
Hey, that's a good thing. Good thing, man. You know, it was a pretty good final week to the college football regular season. Got a lot of stuff going on. It's going to be some fun, exciting topics, but I really enjoyed last weekend's games. A lot of stuff you didn't expect, but you know that's college football. That's football for you. But before we do that, guys, if you love what we're doing right here, you like our content, please hit that like button, and also so we can continue this content, please hit that subscribe button. And last but not least, please, please, please engage and support our sponsors, Team Sportswear Direct, Watch Game Film, and the Women's Tackle Football League. Once again, like I said, man, it was a good college football weekend, and you know, great games. Obviously, you and I had our little rivalry, Florida State. It was pretty good. I mean, it was more exciting than I thought it was going to be. A lot of other good rivalry games this weekend. We're gonna get a little bit of talking about that. What happened over the weekend. We're also going to dip into our topics. The fallout of that was all the coaching changes that have happened ever since Saturday evening. Some expected, some not expected. We're going to talk about some of this. Let's preview the conference championship games of this coming up this weekend. That's ought to be exciting. All the big conferences. And last but not least, I want to talk about something that's kind of been coming on my radar that's really been kind of, I want to just get into. Um, Parents involved in youth sports, especially, some of the stuff that we've been noticing, people have noticed and going on, some of the things about this. So we'll talk about that. So let's jump on into this thing. Let's jump right in here. Coaching changes. I know you've been kind of up to date with what was going on. We got quite a few things that's going on. Obviously, Florida's got a new head football coach. Um, uh, one closing made an opening. Obviously, Oklahoma's coach decided to leave and go to USC, which I don't think nobody saw that. Everybody was rumoring him heading to, being offered by LSU, but nobody actually saw I don't think anybody saw the USC job going to him or him even, really considering most people thought he was happy where he was. But, and then there's been all matter of opinion on it today. So let's stop with those two. Then let me hear what you think about that.
Listen, we talked about it either last episode or a couple episodes before.
Mm-hmm.
Every athletic director has gauges success differently.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that directly here with the University of Florida.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't losing per se.
Mm-hmm.
They they,
Except for
they,
this year.
they just weren't winning the way they should be winning.
Mm-hmm.
And their AD, that's not the Florida standard.
Mm-hmm.
The Florida standard is to, by at the very least, be in Atlanta
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the season, not just getting into the bowl
Mm-hmm.
bid conversation. So that's not enough for Florida. And from that, we saw the departure of Dan Mullen. Um, the new coach that they brought in, Coach Napier from
Mm-hmm.
Louisiana. He has the Raging Cajuns, gearing up to play their conference championship against Appalachian State this Saturday. So it'll be interesting to see what he brings to the table. But back to the original topic at hand was the coaching carousel. Listen, heavy is the head of that wearing the crown, and right now the crown is the athletic directors of these various schools.
Mm-hmm.
So again, everyone gauges success differently. And if that athletic director or powers that be doesn't see the success that they're used to seeing or that they want to see, you will see a coaching change, and that just what's happening.
Yeah, big time. But what I wanted to ask you, did you see this happening? Lincoln Riley leaving Oklahoma for USC, and does it surprise you?
It doesn't surprise me because here's why it doesn't surprise me. I think people see the glitter that is the SEC. They do. I mean, obviously you got Alabama, Florida, Mizzou, Ole Miss, Auburn. A lot of great story,
LSU. Yeah.
a lot of storied teams, and a lot of storied colleges and football programs and sports all around the table. But they forget LA paying. California is not a bad place to get paid in, especially if you're living in Los Angeles. And yes, don't get me wrong, you want to win. You want to get paid too. And no coach is going to come out and say it, but I'm gonna say it for them. They want to be live a little comfortable and get compensated as such. So yeah, he could have took some SEC jobs, but let me tell y'all something about these SEC jobs. They come with work that we don't get to see on camera.
Yeah, they do.
And you living in a beautiful home in the middle of Timbuktu. With some of these programs. Yeah, you getting some thoroughbreds on the field, and you getting some of the best that the country got to offer. But I don't want to live next to a swamp. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't I don't want to be the one of four in my neighborhood, if you will. So that's what it is when you got those SEC coaching positions. And like I said, they come with a glitz and glamour of winning and number one recruits year in and year out, but it's LA.
Yeah.
And we want to, and we pretend like it's all about football. No, no, USC, University of Southern California, while it runs longer than a lot of conferences, let alone programs.
It is a private school.
Hello, like people tend to forget that. Like, yeah, the winning is the end goal. Somewhere in between that, I'm trying to not do this forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're right. You're in the lust of Hollywood and Beverly Hills and all that. You got everything Disneyland out there. You got everything that money could buy. And you're gonna pay for it living out there. But they compensate you well. One of the things I would say, just to piggyback what you're saying on that with Lincoln Riley's situation, you got to think about it. He's getting ready to jump into the SEC if he would have stayed there, which
Yeah.
means the pressure and stress to win would even be higher because now you have less chances to be successful instead of being in the Big 12 where you were the king. Now you're gonna go, and I'm just gonna be honest, Oklahoma's gonna be a middle of the pack team, because everybody thought that was gonna work out for Texas, and that ain't worked out so great for them yet. They still middle of the pack. They still ain't made it to the top of the heap. They finally beat Alabama, but and Texas couldn't do anything in the Big 12. God forbid playing the SEC schedule, what that's going to look like. It's going to be ugly. It's going to get way worse before it gets better. So when Oklahoma kind of seen that, I think Lincoln Riley saw the writing on the wall, the pressure. I can go to USC, and if I do anything at all, I'll end up being top dog in the conference and then still be able to make a playoff, which was actually going to make his wet wallet gets even more because he'll be famous out there. So I get it. So I think it was a great business move for him. Looks like also he maybe be taking his quarterback, Spencer Rattler, because he's winning the transfer portal. Probably wouldn't be surprised he's end up at USC. These other coaching jobs, like you were talking about, Louisiana loses their coach to Florida. You got a few other openings that still haven't be LSU now. Oklahoma's opening now. You got who's the other big West Virginia? Well, I mean Virginia Tech. So you got some big jobs opening up, and a lot of people under pressure. And you got people that's who's going to take these jobs, because a lot of times, like you said, some of these guys come with some unreasonable expectations. You know, is Virginia Tech that same school that they with the Michael Vicks where they think they can compete for national titles? I don't know. I mean, like you said, being out in the middle of nowhere, where is Blacksburg? No disrespect to the great city of Blacksburg, but it is out there by itself. In Virginia, so it's not like you're right there next to the Metro DC area or anywhere where you can easily get to something. So you're talking about jobs like that, and it's probably why Nebraska decided to keep their coach because who you gonna find better that's gonna replace him? So that's the question you have to answer. The grass ain't always greener. Look at what was his name? Just went out there, took the Texas job. it's a topsy turvy world in college football, and everything now affects it even more with the NIL and all that stuff in the transfer portal. It's going to be hard to be a team in the SEC, and so I like I said, go back to Lincoln Riley. I understand it. The question is, who are you going to get to take that pressure cooker called LSU when they figured out a reason to get rid of the coach that just won them a national title about 2 years ago. Florida just got rid of a guy who had him in the SEC title game the year before that. Who's the other big job right out there? Who's the I can't think. Virginia Tech, the Washington and Washington State. Another two big major names. Former, at least Washington was a former power. And they run their coach off. It's not the same as it was before. I mean, these scholarship limitations, all this other stuff. It ain't like you're going to be the same. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what these coaches, how this thing comes out with these coaching games, these coaching carousels and stuff as we go. So let's jump on to our next topic. Let's preview these conference championships. Um, we'll start with some of the little lightweights, in my opinion, out of the Power Fives, and then we'll go to something that's significant. Intriguing game to me because I think it's the first matchup you ever seen that first one I can ever remember that Clemson's or Florida State's very interesting that you have two teams in Pitt and Wake Forest who are not traditionally been a power in the Atlantic Coast Conference now finding themselves battling for basically a New Year's Six bowl game because they're obviously neither one of them are going to be playing in the college football playoffs. But for them, this is going to be a significant accomplishment for their coaches and their schools. Obviously it's not that great a thing for Pittsburgh because they've been national championship contention before, especially in the 80s and the early 90s. But for Wake Forest, this will put their program as probably one of their all-time greatest achievements if they win this Atlantic Coast Conference championship game. Now, I'll take your opinion on that.
I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head. Wake Forest is playing for recognition. Pittsburgh is playing to stay relevant. I think what we have here is a very wounded conference. Just happening to play to bring out the teams who are less wounded than everyone else. I think not that's not a knock against the way Wake Forest and Pittsburgh played. Both of them stand 10-2 right now, so it's going to be a good game, but it's just not the game we're used to seeing.
You're right. All right, let's move on to the Big Ten Conference. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's
Michigan and
Iowa playing Michigan. It's kind of even anticlimactic because you're figuring if Michigan doesn't win, you go back and say, well, dang, is this conference just that bad? Because Michigan lost to Michigan State, who ended up losing two games. Michigan also had their first win over Ohio State this past weekend. The only team right now, I think, in the conference with only one loss. Since they beat Ohio State, so they're the only chance that the Big Ten has at having a team in the college football playoff. Should they lose to Iowa, that's gonna be very bad for the conference because once again they'll be out of the playoffs because you still have the Big 12, which we'll jump in them in just a moment. They have an Oklahoma State team there sitting there. If they can win that game, they'll be probably now in line to get that point. Michigan's jumped up in the AP poll to number two, but you watch them, you say, okay, I really didn't notice them outside of that Ohio State game, and I didn't think they were that good when I saw them lose to Michigan State. So are they worthy of number two? Is everybody giving it to them because they're a Power Five school over what I think probably at this point should probably be Cincinnati sitting at number two since they seem to they're the only other undefeated team that's playing right now in these conference championships.
Listen, I think this is going to be one of the most overlooked games of the weekend. To be honest with you, I don't think it speaks to how horrible the conference is. I think it speaks to how good the conference is. This conference right here is that old school one hole, two hole, three hole, four hole. Let's run the ball and see who
Mhm.
can tackle type conference. That's just the way the Big Ten plays. That's the way Michigan played. That's how they beat Ohio State this past weekend. And then you got Iowa, who literally almost mirrors them in that odd way. And yes, if Michigan loses, it brings up the conversation: does the Big Ten get a bid to the playoffs? But I think let's not look at that right now. Let's look at the fact that we have an 11-1 Michigan team and a 10-2 Iowa team getting ready to play some very good football for the Big Ten championship. And if we acknowledge that, we'll really enjoy this game.
You're right. You're right. Um, moving on to Pac-12. I really don't even know if I want to talk about this because it's a rematch of Oregon and Utah, and it was just a couple weeks ago when Utah put flat out beat down on Oregon. And if Oregon wins this game, what does it say that game was a fluke, or I really don't even know what to say about this because it's like I'm thinking while you're talking, Lord, I got to talk about this Pac-12 championship. I'm thinking about oh God, what can I say to make anybody be compelled to watch this matchup? You know,
I know.
yeah. So I'm like, okay, it's Friday night. Good thing. Usually Pac-12 is a Friday night, so you can probably just, if you got nothing else, you ain't watching some high school football, maybe tune in and see what it is. But I mean, outside of that, maybe or can get revenge. Like, it's gonna be boring. I'm sorry, I just think it's gonna be boring. Maybe you can convince me otherwise.
All right. Well, Oregon's going to have a new uniform. Um,
So will Utah.
there's a couple of things we can guarantee ourselves in this game. One, Oregon will have a new uniform. Nike will see to that. Because Under Armour is going to be under some light, they'll see that Utah gets some new threads too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
check Twitter sometime, probably Wednesday or Thursday.
right. It's an 8 o'clock Friday night game in the middle of nowhere, Utah. Um,
Is it a home game or is it in a neutral site? I don't know what they do for the Pac-12.
Pac-12 usually have it hosted, so it'll be at Utah.
Pac-12 championship game. I'm actually trying to Google it now.
Yeah, but you know, football will be played right now.
Yeah.
Right now, ESPN predicts Utah to win 61% to Oregon's 39. So yeah,
Oh, they're actually playing in Vegas.
they
I
finally
just
have a new
Googled it.
site.
They're actually playing in Vegas Friday, December 3rd at Allegiant Stadium. Okay, so they're playing in the Raiders' new dig.
Yeah,
Okay, so the Pac-12 got them a little sponsor and some place to play a game like everybody else finally got with the program. Good for
congratulations.
them. I might watch it because I think I've only seen one game since the Raiders been there in that stadium. So maybe that, but who's coming to it? Well, I guess you can get the gamblers to go there and watch it. Maybe put some coins down.
They bored
But
that
as you were
night.
saying, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Nah, man, nah. You said it, man. It's Pac-12 is an interesting game to watch. Period. It doesn't matter what team from the Pac-12 plays it. To be honest with you, they just play weird football over there. It's another game. Yeah, it's just another game just to enjoy football. Hopefully.
Sorry, guys. We were trying to give you something, fans, but hey, we was doing the best we can. It's a Friday. Obviously, they're playing for Friday, whatever. All right, let's talk about the big boy. The big boy. The game that could really put a monkey wrench in this whole thing. SEC championship. Some say Georgia's in the playoffs regardless, as long as they don't get blown out. I tend to agree with that. I think their resume of the season, even though I think I told my godson, I said, this year couldn't have been more tailor made for the Georgia Bulldogs to be a national championship, win a national championship than any team in the history of college football. The schedule lined up perfectly for them. The teams that played in the East were absolutely mediocre at best. I don't think there's a team in the Eastern Conference with less than 3 losses. Everybody in the conference in the East has 3 losses, and one of them being to Georgia. So they lost 2 other games outside in the conference. No one, I mean, half the teams in the East barely got bowl eligible. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you got a bunch of mediocre ochre teams that you went through this year, and half of that roster was either at a neutral site when being Florida or at home where they're your toughest games. You know what I mean? You didn't play Alabama. You didn't play LSU. You didn't play Texas A&M. You caught, they caught Clemson on a down year. On a year they lost 3 games. So if somehow the pressure's got to be on Georgia to be everything that everybody thought they was. If they don't win this game, they're in. But I don't think they deserve to be in. If you look about on their resume, because they didn't beat anybody. You know what I mean? They beat they won an SEC schedule. Let's give it the respect. They beat SEC teams, but this was not like a typical year where you had to win the SEC East and the other team that's playing in the SEC going to a power, going to a big a New Year's 12 game. I don't think there's not one team in the SEC East is going to a New Year's 12 game. They're all going to be playing on December 24th, 23rd, 21st, December 19th. I don't think there's going to be, a lot. There's going to be a lot of what's the Liberty Bowl participants? What is it? With all the bowls that are played here in Florida, all those bowls except for the Six Bowl. I don't think we're going to have any team in the East playing on a New Year's Day, New Year's Six Bowl. All those guys will be in the East. I think Ole Miss was 2 losses, so they'll probably play one of those New Year's Six bowls. Texas A&M's probably going to get one. And with the emergency of Arkansas, they're probably going to get one of the higher profile games. You know what I mean? I just pray that we don't get Florida here in Jacksonville for the Taxslayer Bowl, then I think we'll be okay. But this is the year for Georgia to actually have to win this thing. And if they lose to Alabama, there's going to be a ton of people disappointed. And I can see them doing it. Not that I don't think that they will do it, but I can see a scenario because it seems like Alabama just finds a way to beat teams.
Question: you eat hot dogs?
Every now and then.
Yeah, yeah. Do you really care how a hot dog is made?
Depends on what you. Now I do like a good one. I like a ballpark Frank. I mean, one of those good ones, the Hebrew Nation or something like that. Those good ones, yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. You ride roller coasters? Ever got
Yes,
on a
I do.
roller coaster?
Yeah.
Do you typically go and do maintenance checks before you get on that roller coaster?
No, you don't. You hope they did it already.
Right, right, right. So your trash get picked up every week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you typically call sanitation department and that's how
Mm-hmm.
they do it?
Mm-hmm.
So guess what? I don't think Georgia gave a damn how they got there
I don't
either.
think they do. I think they feeling good about themselves. I agree with you.
We keep devaluing these teams that get there, and Al Davis said it best: just win, baby. Like, and that's what they did. Who was lined up in another uniform on the other side of the ball against them every Saturday mattered not. Their job was to beat them, and they did that 12 times.
Mm-hmm.
And we can talk about how mediocre the East was in the SEC, and they haven't played anybody. They didn't see Alabama yet. Boo hoo, woo hoo. Yeah, they won, and they got to
Hey,
Atlanta.
I'm wearing red. I'm not hating on the
No,
red and
I'm not.
black.
I'm
I'm
just
wearing
saying.
red. I'm just stating what I know is facts. It wasn't like they went a gauntlet. Give it like what LSU did when they went undefeated.
And here's the fact: Georgia's currently undefeated, and on four.
So is Cincinnati. So why aren't they number 2?
That's a great conversation on championship game. But my point is, Georgia's undefeated. Alabama's 11-1, and on 4 o'clock this coming Saturday, they'll meet in Atlanta to play for the SEC championship. Now, regardless of what the outcome is, Georgia earned their way here. They didn't duck, skip the loo, or hopped around anybody. They earned their way here. And yeah, they haven't played anybody that's going to be worth a while in the conversation when it comes to the new year and their most football games. But Kirby Smart don't care about that, and neither does Nick Saban either.
I definitely know Nick Saban though.
Because if Nick Saban had that same mindset, well, they probably, well, we're gonna take practice off this week, boys. We just got Georgia. They didn't play anybody. He's not telling his team that. He's telling his team we playing a team that averages 35 points a game. He's telling his team that the team we're playing is undefeated, and that we're only predicted to win by 33%.
What are the odds on that game? I wonder. I ain't even checked the odds makers for that game.
The 66.5% that Georgia is predicted to win.
Betting odds SEC championship.
The line is 205 right now.
Really?
According to Wikipedia, the SEC championship game is an annual American football game that has determined the Southeastern Conference's season
I'm being all bad for media right now today.
Listen, the spread is 6.5.
6.5?
Yeah.
Okay.
So listen, man, over and under is 50.5.
Wow. Okay.
So listen, again, all of that, yeah, but, they play this Saturday.
Yeah, you're right. Question for you saying that. Okay. With the point I made earlier, here's the scenario. Let me go back before I do that. It is a must-win game for Cincinnati. Cincinnati loses or they're not playing in the playoffs after going undefeated. Okay.
Absolutely.
And they base that off the fact of their strength of schedule. Strength of schedule numbers, to me, when I last looked at it, I think are similar between Georgia and Cincinnati. Would it be fair, because most people have already said it doesn't even matter as long as Georgia doesn't. What is your opinion on that?
Let me say, fairness is an opinion. I need y'all to understand that. Fairness is an opinion. Because unless it's written a law-abiding rule, it's an opinion. I mean, Cincinnati has an average win radius of 15 to 25. Georgia has an average radius of 35 to 45, meaning they win games by 35 points or more. No, I mean, yeah, we can say the strength of schedule thing, but we're talking about Cincinnati playing teams like USF, UCF. Talking about Georgia playing teams like University of Florida and Auburn, Georgia Tech.
I get it. But I'm just saying, do you think would it be? Is it fair to say Georgia is in the playoffs regardless of the result of the championship? So even if they lose, they should make the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. That was one of the things I wanted to know because when you're talking about people who deserve it and who doesn't deserve them based on performance on the field, okay, that you got to kind of we kind of just give the non-power 5 teams a kick in the butt as soon as they make one mistake and give a little leeway to the power 5 teams. And I get certain things, but I see I understand that. Now, what I think, speaking of this, what's really the scenario that most people in the college football world would hope to say would be the scenario that we just spoke on. We would hope that Georgia loses a close game to Alabama That way they can have two SEC schools in this thing. That way they don't have to worry about trying to figure out what they're going to do with the Big 12. Should we put Oklahoma State in there? Should we worry about Notre Dame? It kind of solves a lot of the equations because right now we're pretty much going to just assume that Cincinnati's going to win and they'll be in. So if Cincinnati wins, they're in. Georgia's pretty much, as long as they don't get dominated, they'll be in. And if you get an open, so now you only have to deal with one more slot then. You don't have to figure out who's the better fit between Oklahoma State, Notre Dame, and Michigan. You get what I'm saying? You don't have to figure that out. Because you can figure if Michigan then wins, Cincinnati ends, there's two of your teams. And if you lose, if the Alabama beats them, that fits it. You got four popular teams from Power 5 conferences. You might figure out a way to finagle, Cincinnati out of this thing. And then, hey, we're ready to go. Let's go play. What's your thoughts on that?
That's all good and well. I'm not big on hypotheticals and insinuations, but in a perfect world, I would put Cincinnati in. But
even if,
we don't.
If Georgia, but that's what I'm saying. If Georgia loses to Alabama, how do you keep You can't keep Alabama out because they're the conference champs with the same record and they beat the number one team, so they're automatically in. Do you doubt? That's what I was just saying. Do you kick Georgia out? Michigan wins, they're in. Cincinnati's undefeated. You get what I'm saying? Somebody's got to go.
In a perfect world, this would all make sense. But we also live in a world where old men who don't look like me or you sit in the room and make these playoff games.
Well, actually, they do. They got a couple of old men looking like me or you, and they got actually a woman, Condoleezza Rice, on that board. I hear you. I see the look, but that's what I'm saying. Okay, let's end the topic with this. Would that be a scenario you like to see and see how they go on it? To see Alabama beat Georgia in the close game this weekend, and see and watch the committee squirm a little bit.
No, I want to see Georgia. I want to see Georgia win, and I want to see Cincinnati win to put the onus on the committee to now set a precedent to tell us whether notoriety matters or football matters. Because that's what it'll do.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay. Before we close this topic, here's what I want to say. And that's why we're talking about this one time. All right. Say all the boys win. Georgia wins. Michigan wins. Cincinnati wins. Georgia, Cincinnati, Michigan, Oklahoma State. Notre Dame doesn't play in the conference, but they've only lost one game, and that was to Cincinnati. Do you see anybody getting leapfrogged and getting kicked out of this to let Notre Dame in?
Again, maybe Cincinnati. Again, that's why I would say it'll be on the committee to tell us now and forever what matters more, football or notoriety.
I already think it's notoriety, in my opinion, because if that's the case, all these weeks that Cincinnati was ranked high, they kept refusing, even when they first did it. And we spoke about it a few shows ago. They was not going to put them in, and I gave the reasons because of the bowl situation, and they don't have people that'll do the traveling. That's why I'm saying this comes in this situation. Notre Dame's sitting there. Do they put in a Notre Dame team over a Cincinnati team that beat them?
Again, but that's my point. They didn't have to make that call right then. That's just.
But they will this weekend if this scenario.
Exactly, and so that's why you now tell us, the fans, what we should be cheering for.
Yeah, I get you. All right, that was a great topic. So let's move on to this this topic I want to talk to you about. Parents involved in youth sports. I'm sure you dealt with youth sports. You coach youth sports somewhere along the line. Dealing with parents with youth sports. I really, first of all, I want to make this statement. I really appreciate all the parents who bring their children to these youth organizations and get involved with these youth organizations to make their communities better. I think it's a great thing. I think it's a vital thing to our community. Brings a lot of positive things. People learning about people that are different from them, cultural differences, certain things in certain sports. But what I have come to start noticing is the two things I think that bothers me. A lot of parents living their lives, their sports lives out vicariously through their children. And secondly, some of these people just out and out losing their minds over a kid's game if the kid doesn't get successful, and the other kids are just happen to have either a better day or just better players, no matter regardless. We're not talking about any particular sport. It could be Little League baseball. It could be Pop Warner football. It could be a little AAU basketball. I just wanted to talk about this because I think it's something that needs to be spoken on, and because you got a lot of parents that's just going buck wild out there. I think they even now have the little show Friday Night Tights and stuff like that. I just wanted to get, as a media person, first of all, your opinion on it, and then we can keep going on.
I'm actually torn on the topic, and hear me out. Why? Here's why. And I'm not a parent, so my opinion on it is definitely third party, if you will. But hear me out though. If I was a parent, and I have brought this person into the world who, outside of God, can tell me what's too far for my child.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we forget about that because some people they only do it once. Some people have two, three, four, whatever. Some people don't do it once. That's it. And who's to tell me what's too far from my child? I only get one shot to do this. You know what I mean? I only get he or she might only get that one shot to do this. So what's too far? You know what I mean? And I use the example of the whole ball situation with him and his kids. I mean, we can say he's a tyrannical father, or he did this, and we don't agree with that. But he got all three of his boys into the league.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And we can even make the statement, well, maybe he's vicariously living through them. Okay, they living good. if that's vicariously living through somebody, he's living very well. You know what I mean? So what's too far? And then secondly, to that point, sports is dangerous. It's fun. It's it's meant to be a kid's game, but maybe outside of golf.
Oh, there's some drama going on with youth club golf too. Now, don't like.
But hear me out. There's drama, but no one's in. Their life isn't in danger in golf. You know what I mean? You know, if a softball or baseball comes at you the wrong way and it hits you the right way, you might not be here anymore. If
Mm-hmm.
you land awkwardly on that court, male or female, you might not walk the same way anymore. You get hit the wrong way in football. That's it. And those are just the big three.
Mm-hmm. Or baseball, get hit with that bat or something.
You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. So sports, especially big team sports, they're dangerous. And I'm going to tell anyone this: I don't have a kid yet. I don't. I have no intentions of ever coaching my son when I have one because I want him to be led by other men and be able to be coached and taught by other people. But I'm gonna be that father going course every Saturday, every Friday night, every Tuesday night for my child because I don't know how long he's going to do that or want to do it. So when there's a chance for me to be my child's biggest fan, yeah, yeah, yeah. People listen. Like I coach middle school football, and I probably have had arguments like these with parents. But at the beginning and even in of that argument, I still remember that person's child. If it's the father, he came from him. If it's the mother, they carried him. That's their baby. And regardless of how we see it as the outer source, that's what it is. Now, from a managerial and media perspective, yeah, sometimes it absolutely sucks to have to deal with parents.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they forget that this isn't their team, it's their child's team. Kind of want to just take that child and be like, all right, they're mine. You need a break. But again, I think we take away from the parent almost like that's mine. Like God bless me with that. I'm just letting y'all borrow the blessing. So I think we have to keep that in mind. And no, it's not right to the lengths that some parents go. It's not right the way some of them push their kids. And no, it's not right to some of the measures that are taken to get their child here and everywhere. But we tell parents for 18 years with my law is that you got to feed, educate, teach, and raise that child. I'd be damned if anybody tell me what I'm gonna do, right or wrong, by mine. So I think we forget.
Okay, I get it. That's an interesting perspective. The reason I'm just saying that because you actually obviously as you watch the show and you watch some of these people on different social media that some of the fights and you know what I mean. I'm like, come on, people, it's kids playing. Keep it about the kids, not about you worrying about it. Okay, that the referee was not an NFL level quality referee. I mean, you want to go fight the referee because he didn't call the pass interference against the other kid that was you felt holding your son, and he could have got away and scored the touchdown. It's just funny sometimes to sit there and watch some of the stuff and hear when you listen to some of these parents like, dude, your kid is not even caring about the stuff as much as you are. And when the game is over, he wants to go get ice cream, but you're worrying about, well, we need to get this ref, we need to change. The kid's like, okay, I'm ready to play. Where's my video game? And I think that sometimes we just some of the parents lose perspective of it, and I get it. All these parents want what's best for their child, but sometimes you got to wonder if they're drawing that line if it's about them or if it's about their kids. So I wanted to get your perspective on it, and you gave me a pretty interesting one. So I'm telling you, I'll put that back. I'll file it back away in my mind as I go and watch some more of these youth sports as we go along. And I think it's going to be interesting. And hopefully there won't be coming any bad incidents here in the next year or any time in the rest of my lifetime where you see something on the news or lifetime again where kids or parents are went crazy doing a sports event. But it's just inevitable, man. But it's funny, but it's always something interesting topic to watch. Well, we did it, man. Went to another show. Once again, I'd like to tell all of our fans, if you like what we're doing, please hit that like button. Also hit the subscribe button, and please, please, please. Hey, we got a great company here, Team Sportswear Direct, right on my other side. Please support them as they support our show. And watch Game Film and the Women's Tackle Football League. Once again, for my illustrious co-host, Andre L. Sullivan, our great producer, Grandpa Moody Fowler of All Sports High. You guys, be out there, get ready for the holidays. I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving and we prepare for the Christmas. Remember the reason for this season. Remember, do something kind for somebody else. Think about other people, but also don't overindulge. I mean, don't go outside your budget when you got to go Christmas shop and all that stuff. You know how we tend to do. Don't make up for the love for your kids by trying to tell them how much you love them with Christmas gifts. Just be the normal good parent and good family member that you are. And until next time we do this show, I'll see you right back here again on the Terry McGriff Show, and y'all be blessed.